So today I would like to discuss with you guys how do we create engaging products that grow, and also how do we know where we should focus, especially in the beginning of any project. I'm not sure if you ever had this experience, but when I was starting design, in the beginning of my career, I asked myself a lot of times, like, okay, I've designed this great app. It's another beautiful, very usable app. I know what users want. I figured out their needs. I make personas. I make user journey. I make a very good, beautiful, usable app. What's next? How do I make sure that this app actually is gonna hit the market? So statistically talking, I would like to say that you need to create products that are 9 times better than the market offering to capture existing customer habits. And it's not the easiest thing for us as designers to create and capture those new habits. I suggest you to read this article. It's called 9 times better. But the point of the slide is just to let you know that beautiful UI design is just not enough anymore. And also, talking about actually creating like the working and great products, there is no rule that says the better product wins, that the better product you create, the better it is. The truth is that it's not the better product that wins, it's the top mind product that captures the monopoly of the mind. So here is a quick slide that captures how the product becomes leader in a very, very plain and simple way. Most of the everyday decisions, as I meant, we make that these decisions are driven by habits. And the first hill we need to climb is like the top mind, basically become the most discussed thing in the world. If you accomplish this goal and if you created this sort of word of the mouth around yourself, then there are 2 ways to go from there. Either you stick, so you create a habit and people stick to this habit and kind of start using it on a daily basis, or it was just hype, people started to talk about it, but the next day it was not engaging, people left and never come back and use this product anymore. So after kind of like the first step, it's all about understanding the engagement, understanding the kind of loop through which users need to go in order to kind of wanting to come back and start using it on a regular basis. And after you capture the habits, this is when most of the times product became a market leaders. So that's probably the next logical question which we need to cover today is how do we actually create those habits? Most of you have heard of the book and maybe even read it. It's called Hooked by Nir Eyal. He did a huge research on understanding people behind the most addictive products, and then basically he created the Hook model, which is like a proved process of gamification that helps organization to create habit-forming products. And in a nutshell, they consist of just 4 steps. So the first is trigger, the next thing is action, the next is reward, and the last is investment. So we have at the beginning, there is always a trigger. Every time user needs to solve the problem, something needs to trigger him. And there are 2 types of triggers. One is external. So this could be coming from the outside, let's say a notification or advertisement, or even the word of the mouth, a friend recommended you the product, or it could be internal. Internal means that I have some, let's say, my inner feelings, my inner needs. The most obvious example usually is when we use social media, when we feel loneliness or boredom, and it's too easy to open Facebook app and start scrolling the feed, or Instagram and start scrolling the feed. The next thing you do is action. So basically, again, as we started to talk about Facebook, let's say you had this boredom feeling, then you do one super simple action. You just open the Facebook app and start scrolling. Every time you scroll, there is a new piece of the content. Every time is different. It is exciting. Something is going on, and you kind of start receiving variable rewards. After going through all the feed, in order to come back, you still need to do some investment so that you want to come back. So investment, it should be a very small work that users need to do in order to increase the likelihood of returning, which usually it's something, for example, in social media or Facebook, it was like upload the picture, and when you come back, you'll see likes, and they're like, oh my god, yes, I have the rewards, people like my picture. I'm gonna focus today on just giving you a little bit more tangible examples of how do we create variable rewards and what kind of investments you can ask your users to give in order for increasing your chances for users to come back. So let's start with the reward. Obviously, as you understood already, to keep users engaged, products need to deliver on promises. The faster you give it, the more users understand that they get what they came here for. So products reward users by solving the problem or reinforcing their motivation for the action taken in the previous stage. To understand why it is important to focus on the variable reward, I want to give a quick example of the Skinner, who is the American psychologist, who did an experiment that kind of proved why adding the variable aspect to rewards is very important, and why it is in the core of the habit forming products loop. So his experiment was super simple. He did experiment on the pigeon, and what he actually did, basically he took a pigeon, gave him a little lever to peck at. So every time the pigeon will peck at this little lever, he will get a reward, some food. So every time you give them an expectation that food will be here as soon as you peck at that level, you will get something in return. And very quickly, Skinner could train the pigeon to peck at the box when they were hungry. However, in the next experiment, he also gave a pigeon a variable reward. Sometimes, so that sometimes pigeon will peck at this disc and get food, and sometimes another time he would peck and get nothing. And very quickly, Skinner was noticing that the rate of response increased dramatically. So we people and any animal is getting more, I guess, engaged and eager to get the reward they are searching for the more they try. So interesting outcome of this experiment is that when the reward was variable, the number of times these pigeons picked increased. And when you basically know what reward you expect, it becomes very predictable, very obvious, and very even boring at some point, so that you need to give this variability aspect that people are still curious what's going to happen next. There are 2 or 3 types, of the variable rewards that again Muriel discovered. First one is the tribe. It also comes from a long period ago. So our brains are adapted to seek for rewards that makes us feel accepted, attractive, important, and included, because we are very social. The example here is like, again, you have those questions or expectations from Facebook when you open the feed. You never know what you will find there. So it could be the questions or expectations that you have, for example, what videos you might see there, what photos people think, what photos other people have posted, what comments said about your last picture, how many likes does something get. So like you always expect sort of interaction with other people through these kind of known channels as we have it today. Another one is the reward of the hunt. So where we once hunting for food, today we are hunting for other goodies, for example, information. Another one is very closely associated with the hunting, with the casino. It's the most obvious example, but today we can also compare it with other hunting aspects, for example, job or commerce, when let's say you're looking for another deal on the Amazon, or even social medias. So again, it comes from our kind of like roots or from our history that a long time ago we were searching for a lot of goodies, and it's still somehow deeply engraved in our brain and system that we still tend to search a lot. And self-reward. So this reward is fueled by inner motivation, and we usually tend to seek for a sense of the competence in whatever we are doing. We want to be better. Basically, this to differentiate the self-reward is the variable things that feel good but does not come from the people. Usually it's tied with such aspects as mastery or consistency or competency, control, or other things. And the best example here would be the gameplay, where there is something fun and exciting and interesting about getting to that next level, that you feel accomplished, that you feel like you've achieved something. So here is the examples of a more tactical rewards that you can see or notice today while using in different mobile apps. For example, if you are using gamified sort of apps, you will see that daily rewards. Let's say every day you check in and you get you open up, or you collect some points and you open up some extra goodies in your game. Another one is actually more about interaction, so real-time feedback, giving the users the feedback to like people when we are expecting something, we are quite impatient, we want things immediately. So if you know that your app cannot give instant sort of reward, you need to wait, give them at least some nice interaction so that they could kind of slow down their irritation and kind of get some nice, maybe animation, maybe nice expectation game. And sometimes, again, it's very also common way to do it. It's like unlockables. So it could be, for example, exclusivity, empowering badges, or like VIP statuses, or like get to the next level to unlock a next goodie that is associated with your need and stuff like this. And the last group would be the leadership, or again, like this social reward where you compete with other people for, let's say, the first place in the game. This is it for the rewards that I wanted to quickly cover, and also I wanted to quickly go through the investment part. So when we talk about the investment part, there is one important thing I want to focus here, that interesting, let's say, difference between the physical product and the digital product is that everything you can touch, any physical product, it tends to depreciate in time, while the digital products, they actually appreciate in time just because you can invest in those products. And the more you invest in this product, the more appreciated they become for you. Quickly giving you another example. So you need to try to make your users put in something in the product that makes it better with the use. So every time you ask people to invest in your app, make sure that you know what to do with this data. It's not just there to see that people put some investment in your app and they use this app and you get your numbers and you can next, I don't know, show those numbers to investors. But you can also use this data to make the product better for the users, to make people or users appreciate your product more and kind of increase the value of this product. Here are the couple of forms of the stored value, and one of the examples would be the content. So the more content I put into Dropbox or any other cloud storage or any other like content-oriented solution, the more it becomes one only cloud storage solution for me, because I know that it will be too hard for me to take all this content and put it to the next app. So like even if tomorrow there is a new app, or maybe iCloud becomes much better at the cloud storage, and even if it's very easy to put my content in the iCloud, I know that it will take my mental efforts to just, okay, like I need to put everything, I need to find everything, I need to organize everything, I need to bring it there. Like it's just mentally some sort of harder for me, like I have a friction to doing it. So I invest in Dropbox from the moment I put my first megabyte into their cloud storage. Another one is data. So for example, it could be financial services, and that means that the more data you give these services, the more valuable it gets. Later, this banking knows your consumer patterns. It gives you more data about how you use it. It can give you better services based on your previous purchases. It could give you insights. It could offer you maybe to, let's say, hit the new goals for savings and stuff like this, knowing your existing behavior. Another form of a stored value is the following, obviously. So quick example how you can check out if that's working. If tomorrow, let's say, Instagram says like, hey, okay, we don't want to be free anymore. Now, tomorrow, this app will be paid. So obviously, people with a lot of followers will be the first people who will pay Instagram for keeping the Instagram active and live. And the reputation. Also, when we talk about solutions like Upwork or eBay or Airbnb, reputation is a very important stored value that literally can bring you to the bank. So if you have a reputation, tomorrow it pays off. In this part, I think it will be a little bit faster, but I'm gonna also focus on 3 important metrics that you need to focus on in the beginning of any project in order to make sure it grows. So, obviously, the hardest part about running a new business is to know what to prioritize. And these 3 metrics are such as growth, engagement, and monetization. So let's start one by one from growth. The question that we need to ask ourselves when we start focusing on the growth, how do we make our products growing, is how do you get it in front of the people and also get them trying it. And there are 4 general recommendations in order for you to help your client to capture existing habits. The first recommendation is to make it super easy to start using the product. Second recommendation is to use the faster hooks. I'll give you more example. And another one is get better rewards. And the last, increase the frequency of usage. So let's go one by one. To make it easy to start using your product, the general kind of recommendation that you need to strive doing is reduce the onboarding friction. So for customers that haven't used the dominant market products, make it very effortless for starting using the new product. The second recommendation is to use the faster hooks, which is basically removing the steps in your user journey to increase the speed of going through the hook. Another one is to understand what's the better rewards or more relevant reward for your users. And another recommendation I would like to cover today is the increase the usage frequency. Again, right now, especially when you think of this coronavirus crazy situation, you need to think of how your product or service can engage with your customers more often than your competition in order to capture that habit. The second part, which is a part of the GEM framework, is the engagement. So in the situation when you see that people buy it but then they don't use it, this is the question of the vision of your product, and again the vision of how do you take those users through this loop. Talking about the engagement, there are very few products out there that are good at engagement. Usually engagement is the most hard part or hard metric to achieve, because you can always invest in growth with ads, with more referral programs, affiliate programs, and if you have engaging products, it's quite easy to monetize it because people will use it anyway. At some point they might decide buy it, but if you are not working out the engagement, then it's very hard for you to force people to actually kind of come back to it and also put money into it if it doesn't just like create that feeling, or if you don't associate it with the right feelings. And for this, again, just to remind you that one of the most working frameworks for it is the hook model. Next thing you need to do in order to increase your engagement is always work with the analytics. You don't need to just like hope that, okay, I reiterated this hook model, I will come back to it tomorrow, like in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 month, and see how it works. You need to always work with analytics. Every time you change one more things, every time you experiment, you immediately look at the result. Don't wait until you change everything and let's compare like 100% versus 100%. Compare 5% every time and see what things improve your engagement. And normally the rule of thumb here is to strive to get at least 5 to 10% habit, or have like 5 to 10% of your customers engaging with your product on a regular basis. Let's say if you know that your product is used once a week or once a day or once to 3 days, you need to make sure that at least 5 to 10% of your customers use this product in this time slot that you defined. Users need to use it, let's say 3 times a day. And once you reach this number, 5 to 10, it's the moment when you can start investing in the growth. So once you know that, okay, the smaller customer amount of people, the smaller group of people already have this 5 to 10% engagement. Now I see that people come back and use it. Somebody can solve the problem and stay and get engaged with our product. In this case, we reach this benchmark. Now we can invest in growth and see how this engagement will impact, how this number will be impacted when we have a bigger audience, when we have a bigger growth. So let's say today I have 50 customers, 55% of them use it on a daily basis. But if tomorrow you have 1,000 customers, how many of them could still be engaged with this product? Is it the same 5% or is it less? Is it like 1%? And probably if it's 1%, then you need to come back and start over again, reiterate your hook model, or experiment with kind of maybe segmenting, looking for other rewards for different segments. Okay, and the last part for today is the monetization. So can you produce it at the price that your customers need it and still have a good margins to cover your business needs? So remember that monetization is always the result of the engagement, and you don't need to think about the monetization as just like take my money. It's not just about the money. Money is usually the last form of the investment. When you see that kind of users invest in your product, they are giving you data, they are giving you the numbers that you need to reach. So you see the engagement there, you see that people come back, you see that people kind of receive more and more and more with the time, and even maybe increase engagement. This is a time when you can start for people to ask for money. Even with the time when you start asking people for, let's say, a money investment, maybe buy a next package or subscription-based package, when you still struggle with monetization, especially if that's a SaaS product, and after trial you see people often drop off and don't use your product anymore, don't invest money in this product, then you need to, again, either look into numbers and understand what's wrong with your engagement, or if you see that engagement is great, but still people don't kind of buy the product eventually, then it's all about reducing the friction. And just again, the general recommendation here is to, every time you know that people are ready to buy it, every time you see in the numbers that people are engaged and know about your product, right now it's a time to make it as easy as possible to check out. One-click purchase, instant purchase, automatic, remember my cards, all of those sorts of things. It's all about making it as easy and quick as possible.